A mother abandoned her 3-day-old baby in a desert tent in 115-degree heat and drove away. The baby was dying. But her car got stuck in the sand and she couldn't leave. What happened next created an organization that saved over 8,000 families from the same desperate decision. Comment what city you're watching from and subscribe to the channel. Mojave Desert, California, USA. This true story will change how you see redemption. The Mojave Desert was unforgiving in mid-July, with temperatures reaching 115 degrees Fahrenheit when Maya Reyes drove her battered Honda down a barely visible dirt road in southeastern California. In the back seat, wrapped in a thin hospital blanket, was her newborn daughter. 3 days old. No name. Just a tiny, helpless baby who cried weakly in the brutal heat. Maya was 22 years old. Exhausted, terrified, and completely convinced she had no other choice. She'd given birth alone in a motel bathroom in Barstow 3 days ago. No prenatal care. No support. No plan. She'd hidden her pregnancy for 9 months, wearing baggy clothes, avoiding family, living in denial. The father was gone, a man she'd met at a party who'd disappeared when she told him she was pregnant. Her own family had disowned her 2 years ago for reasons that now seemed trivial compared to this moment. She had no job, no money beyond the $200 in her pocket, and no idea how to be a mother. So Maya had made a decision. A terrible, desperate decision that she told herself was the only option. She would leave the baby somewhere someone would find her. Not in a city, too many questions, too much risk of being caught. But somewhere remote enough that she could disappear before anyone knew who she was. The old tent settlement. Maya had heard about it from other homeless people she'd met during her months of couch surfing and sleeping in her car. Deep in the Mojave, accessible only by rough dirt roads, there was an abandoned settlement where people sometimes camped. Hikers, drifters, people passing through. Someone would find the baby. Someone would help her. And Maya would be free. At least, that's what she told herself as she drove deeper into the desert, ignoring the voice in her head screaming that this was wrong. Maya pulled off the dirt road near a cluster of weathered tents and makeshift shelters. Some looked abandoned. Others showed signs of recent use: trash, tire tracks, a fire pit with recent ashes. She parked in the shade of a large rock formation and sat there for 5 minutes, her hands gripping the steering wheel, her baby crying softly in the back seat. "I'm sorry," Maya whispered. "I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'm not good enough. You deserve better than me." She got out of the car, picked up the baby, so light, so fragile, and walked toward the largest tent. It was old but intact, probably left behind by previous campers. Maya placed the baby inside the tent, on a folded blanket she'd taken from the motel. She left a bottle of water, the remaining baby formula she'd bought at a gas station, and a note. "Please help her. I can't. Take her to authorities. Tell them she needs care. I'm sorry." She didn't sign it. Didn't leave any identifying information. Maya stood there looking at her daughter for a long moment. The baby's eyes were closed. She'd stopped crying, maybe from exhaustion, maybe from the heat. "Someone will find you," Maya said, her voice breaking. "Someone good. Someone who can give you what I can't." And then, before she could change her mind, Maya turned and walked back to her car. She started the engine, put it in reverse, and began backing away from the tent settlement. But she only made it about 50 feet before her car lurched and made a terrible grinding sound. Maya pressed the gas. Nothing. The engine revved but the car didn't move. She got out and looked. Her rear wheels had sunk into soft sand hidden beneath a thin crust of hardened desert soil. The more she'd tried to reverse, the deeper they'd sunk. She was stuck. Maya tried everything. Gunning the engine. Rocking the car back and forth. Putting rocks and branches under the wheels. Nothing worked. The car was completely trapped. And it was over 110 degrees in the shade. In full sun, probably 120. Maya pulled her phone out. No signal. Of course not. They were in the middle of the Mojave Desert, miles from the nearest town. She had two choices: stay with the car and hope someone came by, or walk back to the main road, probably 8 to 10 miles, and try to flag down help. Either way, she couldn't leave now. Not immediately. Not with the baby right there in the tent. Maya sat down in the shade of her car and put her head in her hands. She'd tried to abandon her baby, and now she was trapped here with her. The universe, it seemed, had other plans. An hour passed. The heat was becoming unbearable. Maya had one bottle of water left, and she knew she needed to check on the baby. Reluctantly, she walked back to the tent. The baby was awake and crying, a thin, desperate sound. Maya picked her up and realized the baby was burning hot. Not just from the heat, but feverish. Something was wrong. Maya's limited maternal instincts kicked in despite herself. She gave the baby a few drops of water from the bottle. She wet the corner of the blanket and dabbed the baby's face and head to cool her down. She held her and rocked her gently. "It's okay," Maya heard herself saying. "You're okay. I've got you." But the baby wasn't okay. She was getting worse, more lethargic, her breathing shallow. Panic set in. Maya's phone still had no signal. Her car was stuck. They were miles from help. And her newborn daughter was clearly in medical distress. What had she done? Maya gathered the baby and started walking. She didn't know where she was going, exactly. Just toward the main road, toward civilization, toward help. But she'd only made it about a quarter mile when she heard something. An engine. Coming from a different direction than she'd come from. Maya turned and saw a dusty pickup truck approaching on a parallel dirt road. She ran toward it, waving her arms, screaming, "Help! Please help!" The truck slowed and stopped. A woman got out, maybe 60 years old, weathered and practical looking, wearing hiking clothes and a wide-brimmed hat. "What's wrong?" the woman called out. "My baby, something's wrong with her, she's sick. Please, we need help." The woman ran over and immediately examined the baby with experienced hands. "She's dehydrated and overheated." "How long have you been out here?" "A couple hours. My car got stuck. Please, can you help us?" The woman didn't hesitate. "Get in the truck. There's an urgent care clinic in Baker, about 30 miles from here. We can make it in 20 minutes. Maya climbed into the passenger seat, holding her baby. The woman, who introduced herself as Dr. Patricia Moore, a retired pediatrician who lived in the area, drove fast but steady on the rough desert roads. "What were you doing out here with a newborn?" Dr. Moore asked, her tone concerned but not judgmental. Maya's throat tightened. She couldn't tell the truth. "Just passing through. Got lost. The GPS led me wrong." Dr. Moore glanced at her, clearly not entirely convinced, but didn't push. "Well, You're lucky I was out here. I do photography in the desert, usually alone. Saw your car tracks and wanted to make sure nobody was in trouble. Thank you, Maya whispered. Thank you so much. During the drive, Dr. Moore kept checking the baby. She's stabilizing. Getting her out of the heat was crucial. But she needs proper medical attention. How old is she? 3 days. 3 days old, and you had her in the desert? Now Dr. Moore's tone was sharper. What were you thinking? Maya didn't answer. Just held her baby and cried silently. At the urgent care clinic in Baker, the staff immediately took the baby. Severe dehydration. Heat exhaustion. Signs of inadequate care since birth. While the baby was being treated, a social worker named Linda approached Maya gently. Hi Maya. I'm Linda Chen. I work with Child Protective Services. The medical staff called us because of the baby's condition and your circumstances. I need to ask you some questions. Maya knew this was coming. She could lie, make up a story, pretend everything was fine. But sitting there in the clinic, watching nurses rehydrate her 3-day-old baby through and for, Maya was hit with a wave of crushing guilt and reality. She'd tried to abandon her child in the desert, to leave her for strangers to find, or possibly to die if no one came. What kind of person does that? I left her, Maya said suddenly, the words tumbling out. In a tent in the desert. I was going to drive away. But my car got stuck. And then she got sick and I. Linda's expression was carefully neutral. You tried to abandon your baby? Yes. I couldn't take care of her. I thought someone else would find her. Someone better than me. Maya, that's child abandonment. That's a serious crime. I know. But I didn't know what else to do. I have nothing. No family, no money, no support. I can't be a mother. Linda was quiet for a moment. Then she said, there are legal options for parents who can't care for their children. Safe surrender laws. Adoption services. You could have brought her to a hospital or fire station. No questions asked. Why didn't you? I didn't know. I didn't know about any of that. I just panicked. The truth was starting to sink in. Maya had almost killed her daughter out of ignorance and desperation. If Dr. Moore hadn't come along, if the baby had been out there for hours more, is she going to be okay? Maya asked. The doctors think so. But Maya, we need to talk about what happens next. Over the next few hours, Maya told Linda everything. The hidden pregnancy. The father who disappeared. The isolation. The birth in a motel bathroom. The desperate decision to abandon the baby. Linda listened without judgment, taking notes. You're looking at potential criminal charges, Linda said gently. Child abandonment, child endangerment. But given that you immediately sought help when the situation became critical, and given your circumstances, there may be some leniency. I understand. I deserve whatever happens. Right now, your baby is stable. She's going to recover. But we need to discuss her care going forward. Do you want to parent her? Or are you interested in adoption? Maya felt tears streaming down her face. I don't know. I don't think I can be a mother. But I don't want her to go through what I went through. Foster care, instability, feeling unwanted. Then let's figure out what you need to become the mother you want to be. If that's what you want. I don't deserve that option. Maybe not. But your daughter deserves a chance at having her mother, if you're willing to do the work. Maya looked through the window at her baby, sleeping peacefully now, the 4 in her tiny arm, monitors beeping steadily. She'd almost killed her. Almost abandoned her to die in the desert. But she'd also stayed. Run for help. Fought to save her. Maybe there was something maternal in her after all. What would I have to do? Maya asked quietly. A lot. Parenting classes. Therapy. Supervised visitation at first. Proving you're stable. Housing. Income. Support system. It won't be easy. And there are no guarantees. The court will ultimately decide what's best for the baby. But there's a chance. There's a chance. If you're willing to fight for it. Maya thought about the tent in the desert. About driving away. About giving up. And then she thought about holding her daughter in the shade of her broken-down car, rocking her, saying, "I've got you." Maybe she'd meant it. "I want to try," Maya said. "I want to be her mother. I don't know if I can. But I want to try." Linda nodded. "Then let's start." What Maya didn't know, couldn't know, was that this moment would change not just her own destiny, but the destinies of hundreds of other mothers and children. The woman who'd saved them, Dr. Patricia Moore, would become an unlikely mentor and advocate. The desperate decision to abandon her baby would become the catalyst for transformation. And the desert that had almost claimed her daughter's life would become, in an unexpected way, their salvation. But that was still ahead. For now, Maya was just a young mother sitting in a clinic, holding her 3-day-old daughter for the first time with intention rather than desperation, and whispering, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I'm here now. And I'm going to try." Maya was arrested the next day. The charges were serious: felony child endangerment and attempted child abandonment. She was processed, fingerprinted, and released on her own recognizance with a court date set for 3 weeks out. The baby, whom the hospital staff had been calling Baby Doe since Maya had never given her a name, was placed in emergency foster care while the courts determined what would happen next. Maya was allowed supervised visitation twice a week. Those visits broke her heart. Holding her daughter in a sterile room while a social worker watched and took notes felt like the worst kind of torture. But it also clarified something for Maya. She wanted this baby. Wanted to be her mother. Wanted a chance to make up for that terrible moment in the desert. Dr. Patricia Moore attended Maya's first court hearing. She stood up during the proceedings and asked to address the judge. "Your Honor, I'm the person who found Maya and her baby in the desert. I'd like to speak on Maya's behalf." The judge looked surprised but nodded. "Go ahead, Dr. Moore." Maya made a terrible decision born from desperation and ignorance. She didn't know about safe surrender laws. She didn't know her options. She panicked. But when her baby's health was in crisis, she didn't run away. She fought to save her. That tells me something about her character. I've spent the past week getting to know Maya's situation. She's 22 years old. No family support. No resources. No education about parenting or child welfare systems. She needs help, not just punishment. I'm offering to provide that help. I'm retired and have time. I have experience with child development. And I believe Maya deserves a chance to prove she can be the mother her daughter needs. The judge considered this. That's very generous, Dr. Moore. But this young woman abandoned a 3-day-old infant in the desert in July. That's not just a mistake, it's nearly fatal. I understand, Your Honor. But I'm not suggesting there be no consequences. I'm suggesting that consequences should include rehabilitation, not just punishment. Give Maya a chance to earn her daughter back. The prosecutor objected. Your Honor, child abandonment is a serious felony. We can't just. I'm not suggesting we ignore it, Dr. Moore interrupted. I'm suggesting that Maya be given the option of a structured program, parenting classes, therapy, supervised living arrangement, regular check-ins with social services. If she completes it successfully and proves she's capable of safe parenting, then perhaps the criminal charges could be reduced. The judge looked at Maya. Ms. Reyes, what do you have to say? Maya stood up, shaking. I know what I did was wrong. Unforgivable. I almost killed my baby. But Dr. Moore is right. I didn't know what else to do. I was terrified and alone, and I made the worst decision possible. But I want to be better. I want to be her mother. I'll do whatever it takes. Any program, any requirement, anything. Just please give me a chance. The judge was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm going to propose something unconventional. Ms. Reyes, I'm going to place you in a supervised probation program. You'll live in a structured environment, complete parenting classes, attend therapy, and maintain employment. You'll have graduated visitation with your daughter, starting supervised, moving to unsupervised, eventually to overnight and then full custody if you successfully complete all requirements. If you fail to meet any requirement, or if there's any indication of risk to the child, she'll be placed for adoption immediately and you'll face the full criminal charges. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. Dr. Moore, are you still willing to help? Absolutely, Your Honor. Then let's see if redemption is possible. Dr. Patricia Moore owned a small ranch about 20 miles outside Baker. It had been her retreat since retiring from pediatrics 15 years ago, a place where she did photography, painted, and enjoyed solitude. Now it would become home to a young mother trying to piece her life together. Maya moved into the guest house on Patricia's property. It was small but comfortable, 1 bedroom, a kitchenette, a bathroom. More importantly, it was stable. Patricia laid out the rules clearly. You'll work, I've arranged a job for you at the diner in town. You'll attend parenting classes twice a week in Baker. You'll see a therapist once a week. You'll have supervised visits with your baby. And you'll help me around the ranch, caring for animals, maintaining the property. That's your life for the foreseeable future. I'll do all of it, Maya promised. I know you will. Because if you don't, you lose your daughter. And I don't think you want that. I don't. I really don't. The first few weeks were brutal. Maya worked 8-hour shifts at the diner. Exhausting, poorly paid, but honest work. Then she'd come home and study for her GED, which she'd never completed. Then parenting classes. Then therapy. The therapy sessions were the hardest. Confronting why she'd made the decisions she'd made. Unpacking her own childhood trauma. Bouncing through foster care, never feeling wanted, learning to expect abandonment. You were trying to break the cycle, her therapist, Dr. Ramon Silva, explained. You were abandoned, so you thought abandoning your daughter would somehow spare her the pain you experienced. But all you were doing was repeating the pattern. I see that now. Do you? Because understanding it intellectually and believing it emotionally are two different things. Maya struggled with that. Part of her still believed her daughter would be better off without her. That Maya would inevitably fail. That the kindest thing would be to let her be adopted by someone stable and capable. But the supervised visits were changing something in her. Holding her daughter, whom she'd finally named Esperanza, Spanish for hope, Maya felt a connection she'd never expected. The baby's tiny fingers wrapping around hers. The way Esperanza calmed when Maya held her. The feeling of purpose that came with feeding, changing, soothing her. You're doing well with her, the social worker, Linda, observed during one visit. You're attentive, responsive, learning her cues. She's amazing, Maya said softly. I didn't understand before. Didn't understand what I was giving up. Are you still glad you didn't drive away that day? Maya thought about it. My car getting stuck was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to confront what I was doing. To save her instead of abandoning her. Some people would call that fate. Maybe it was. Patricia became an unlikely but essential support. She was tough, never coddling Maya, never excusing her mistakes. But she was also present. Teaching, guiding, believing. Why are you doing this? Maya asked one evening as they fed Patricia's chickens together. Why help me? You don't even know me. Patricia was quiet for a moment. I had a daughter. She got pregnant at 19. Terrified. Alone. I was so busy with my career that I didn't see how much she was struggling. She didn't make it. Died by suicide when the baby was 2 months old. Maya's heart broke. I'm so sorry. My grandson was raised by his father's family. I see him sometimes, but I lost my chance to be the grandmother I should have been. Lost my daughter because I didn't see her pain in time. When I saw you in that desert, desperate and scared with that baby, I saw my daughter. And I thought, maybe I can't save her. But maybe I can save you. Give you the support she didn't have. Maya hugged Patricia, both of them crying. Thank you. For seeing me. For believing I could be better. You can be. But you have to do the work. I will. I promise. 6 months after the desert incident, Maya had her first unsupervised visit with Esperanza. 2 whole hours alone with her daughter. No social worker watching, no notes being taken. They sat in Patricia's living room. Maya fed Esperanza, changed her, played with her, sang to her. And for the first time, it felt natural. Right. Like this was where she belonged. You're her mother, Patricia said, watching from the doorway. Anyone can see it now. I'm trying. You're not trying. You're doing it. There's a difference. 1 year after the desert incident, Maya stood before the same judge who'd given her a chance. She'd completed every requirement, finished her GED, held steady employment at the diner for 12 months, graduated from the parenting program with high marks, attended therapy weekly without missing a session, and progressed through supervised visits to unsupervised to overnight visits with Esperanza. The judge reviewed her file. Ms. Reyes, I'm impressed by your progress. Dr. Moore, what's your assessment? Patricia stood. Your Honor, Maya has transformed. She works hard, she's committed to her daughter, and she's built a stable life. I recommend full custody be restored. Linda Chen, the social worker, agreed. Maya has exceeded every expectation. Esperanza is thriving. I support reunification. The judge looked at Maya. Ms. Reyes, do you understand that if I grant you full custody, you'll be solely responsible for your daughter's welfare? Yes, Your Honor. And I'm ready. I'm not the same person who left her baby in that tent. I'm not perfect, but I'm present. And I love her more than anything. Then I'm granting you full custody of Esperanza Reyes. The criminal charges will be reduced to a misdemeanor with time served and probation. Congratulations, Ms. Reyes. Don't make me regret this decision. I won't, Your Honor. Thank you. Maya walked out of the courthouse with Esperanza in her arms. Truly hers now, legally and completely. Patricia hugged them both, tears streaming down her face. You did it, Patricia said. I'm so proud of you. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have. You just needed someone to believe in you first. Maya moved into a small apartment in Baker, modest but clean and safe. She continued working at the diner and had been promoted to shift supervisor. Patricia helped with childcare when needed. Life was stable. But something was nagging at Maya. During her parenting classes and therapy, she'd met other young mothers in situations similar to hers. Scared, alone, without resources or support. Many of them were making the same desperate decisions she almost had. How many young mothers are out there right now? Maya asked Patricia one evening, thinking about abandoning their babies because they don't see another option. Too many, Patricia said. Safe surrender laws exist, but many people don't know about them. And even when they do, the shame and fear can be overwhelming. There should be more help, more support before people get to that breaking point. I agree. But resources for young, struggling mothers are limited, especially in rural areas like this. An idea was forming in Maya's mind. What if we created something? A place where young mothers in crisis could come for support before they make irreversible decisions. Patricia looked at her thoughtfully. What are you thinking? I don't know exactly, but I keep thinking about that desert. About how close I came to making the worst mistake of my life. What if there was a place specifically for mothers in crisis? Pregnant women with nowhere to turn, new mothers who are overwhelmed, anyone on the edge of doing something desperate. That's a significant undertaking. I know. But I can't stop thinking about it. I have a second chance because you found me, because the judge believed in me, because people supported me. Not everyone gets that. Then let's explore it. See what's possible. Over the next 6 months, Maya researched. She discovered that California had few resources specifically designed for mothers in acute crisis, especially in rural areas. Traditional shelters were often full. Social services were overwhelmed. Young mothers fell through the cracks constantly. She connected with Linda Chen, who provided valuable insights into the gaps in the system. She spoke with other mothers from her parenting classes who shared their own near-miss stories. And she worked with Patricia to develop a concept, a crisis intervention program specifically for mothers contemplating abandonment or who had nowhere else to turn. They would call it Esperanza House, named after Maya's daughter, after hope itself. The model they developed was unique. Short-term emergency housing, up to 90 days, for pregnant women or new mothers in crisis. No judgment, no questions about past decisions. Immediate basic needs met. Food, shelter, safety. Case management to connect with resources. Parenting, education, mental health support. Help with practical needs. Employment, housing, benefits. Most importantly, intervention before abandonment happens. We catch them before they get to the desert, Maya explained to a potential donor. We provide an alternative when they see no other option. Patricia offered the ranch house. She'd move into the smaller guest house, and the main house could be converted into a facility housing up to 4 mothers and their children at a time. They applied for grants, reached out to domestic violence and family services organizations, built partnerships with local hospitals and clinics. The response was overwhelming. People understood the need. A regional foundation provided seed funding, $75,000 to renovate the ranch house and establish operations. Local businesses donated supplies. Volunteers offered time. Social workers and therapists offered reduced-rate services. 2 years after Maya had been found in the desert, Esperanza House opened its doors. The first resident was 17-year-old Carmen, pregnant and homeless after being kicked out by her family. She arrived terrified, convinced her only option was to give birth and leave the baby somewhere. "You have options," Maya told her gently. "Adoption if you want. There are legal, safe ways to do that. Or we can help you parent if that's what you want. But you don't have to make desperate decisions. You're not alone." Carmen stayed at Esperanza House for 12 weeks. She gave birth to a healthy boy. With support, she decided to parent him. Esperanza House helped her finish high school online, apply for benefits, and eventually transition to subsidized housing with her son. "You saved us," Carmen told Maya at graduation. "I was going to leave him at a fire station. Just drop him off and run. But then I found Esperanza House and you showed me I could do this." "You did do it," Maya said. "I just provided support. The strength was already in you." Over the first year, Esperanza House served 19 mothers and their children. Every single one made it through the crisis period without abandonment. Most went on to parent their children successfully. 2 chose adoption, but legal, planned adoption with support, not desperate abandonment. Maya's story became part of Esperanza House's outreach. She spoke publicly about almost abandoning Esperanza in the desert, about her arrest and redemption, about the importance of support for mothers in crisis. "I'm not proud of what I almost did," she told audiences. "But I'm proud of what I learned from it. And I'm determined that other mothers won't have to reach that breaking point before getting help." The media attention brought more funding and more referrals. Young mothers across Southern California heard about Esperanza House and reached out when they felt desperate. "You're building something important," Patricia told Maya on Esperanza House's first anniversary. "Something that will save countless children and mothers." "We're building it together," Maya corrected. "None of this happens without you." Patricia smiled. "My daughter would be proud of both of us." When Esperanza turned 3, Maya enrolled her in preschool. The little girl who'd almost died in the desert was now thriving, smart, happy, loved. "Mama, why do those ladies and babies live at Grandma Patricia's house?" Esperanza asked one day. Maya chose her words carefully. "Because sometimes moms need help. And we help them so they can be the best moms they can be." "Like Grandma Patricia helped you?" Maya was surprised. What do you know about that? Grandma Patricia told me. She said you were sad and scared when I was a baby. But she helped you be happy. That's true. I was very scared. But I learned how to be your mama. And now I help other mamas learn too. I'm glad you learned. Me too, baby. Me too. Maya had been working toward another goal, becoming a certified social worker. She'd been taking online courses through a community college and had just been accepted into a bachelor's program in social work. It'll take me 4 years, Maya told Patricia. Going part-time while running Esperanza House. But I want the credentials to do this work properly. You're already doing this work properly. But I support you getting the education you want. The work was exhausting but fulfilling. Maya spent her days managing Esperanza House, attending classes online, parenting her daughter, and advocating for better support systems for mothers in crisis. But she never forgot where she started. Sitting in a broken-down car in the desert, holding her sick baby, realizing she'd almost made an unforgivable mistake. That memory fueled everything she did now. 5 years after the desert incident, Esperanza House had expanded significantly. What started as 4 beds in Patricia's converted ranch house had grown into a comprehensive program. The original location now had 8 beds across 2 buildings on the property. A second location had opened in Barstow, serving mothers in that area. A 24/7 crisis hotline specifically for mothers in crisis, partnerships with hospitals across Southern California to identify at-risk mothers, educational programs in high schools about safe surrender laws and resources. In 5 years, Esperanza House had served over 200 mothers and children. Not a single one had resulted in abandonment. Maya, now 27, had completed her bachelor's degree in social work and was working on her master's. She'd become a recognized expert on maternal crisis intervention, speaking at conferences and consulting with other organizations. But she remained hands-on at Esperanza House, personally welcoming every new mother, sharing her own story, providing hope. Esperanza, now 5, understood more about her mother's work. She knew the basics of her own story, that Maya had been very young and scared when she was born, that she'd made mistakes, but that Patricia had helped them. Mama, will you tell me the whole story someday? Esperanza asked one evening. Yes, baby. When you're older. When you can understand it. Will it make me sad? Maybe. But it has a happy ending. We're together. We have Grandma Patricia. We help other families. That's the important part. Patricia, now 72, had officially retired from active management of Esperanza House but remained on the board and mentored staff. Her investment in Maya had created ripples that extended far beyond one mother and child. One afternoon, Maya received an unexpected visitor at Esperanza House, a woman in her 40s who introduced herself as Rachel Simmons. I work for a national foundation that funds family crisis programs, Rachel explained. I've been following Esperanza House's work. Your model is remarkable. Proactive intervention before abandonment, peer support from someone who's lived it, comprehensive services. We'd like to talk about expansion funding. Expansion. Maya was surprised. Your model works. We have data on abandonment rates in California. They're dropping in areas where people know about Esperanza House. But there are thousands of rural communities across the country with no resources like this. What if we could replicate your model nationally? Maya's heart raced. That would be. I don't even know how to process that. Think about it. We're talking about significant funding, enough to establish Esperanza houses in 10 states over 5 years. You'd train others to run them using your model. Create a network. Can I have time to think? Of course. But Maya, your story is powerful. Your model is proven. And there are thousands of mothers out there right now who need what you're offering. Don't think too long. That night, Maya discussed it with Patricia. It's overwhelming. Going national? I'm barely keeping up with California. You'd have to build infrastructure. Hire people. Delegate. It's not about you doing everything, it's about sharing what you've learned so others can replicate it. What if I'm not ready? 5 years ago, you weren't ready to be a mother. But you became one anyway. And you're excellent at it. Same principle here. Maya thought about all the women she'd helped. All the babies who were alive and loved because their mothers had found support. And all the women out there who still had no help. Okay, she said finally. Let's do it. Over the next year, Maya worked with the foundation to develop a replication model. She created comprehensive training materials, operational manuals, funding strategies, and partnership templates. They identified 10 states with high rates of infant abandonment and limited resources: Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Montana, Oklahoma, rural Texas, West Virginia, Arkansas, Mississippi, and South Dakota. In each state, they partnered with a local organization to establish an Esperanza house using Maya's model. Maya personally traveled to train staff at each location, sharing her story and the lessons she'd learned. The key, she told each new group, is that you need someone who's lived it. Someone who can look a desperate mother in the eye and say, I understand. I almost did the same thing. But there's another way. That authenticity is what makes this work. By the time Esperanza was 7, there were 12 Esperanza houses operating across the United States, serving over 500 families annually. The impact was measurable. In communities with Esperanza houses, infant abandonment rates dropped significantly. Safe surrenders increased. Mothers learning about legal options before making desperate decisions. Maya's story had been featured in national media. She'd been invited to the White House to discuss maternal support programs. She'd written a book about her experience, From the Desert to Hope, a mother's journey from abandonment to advocacy. But with visibility came scrutiny. Some critics questioned whether someone who'd committed child abandonment should be running programs for vulnerable families. She's a criminal, one article stated. She left her baby to die. How is she qualified to help anyone? The attacks stung. But Maya addressed them head-on in interviews. I'm not proud of what I did. But I'm not hiding from it either. I made a terrible, desperate decision. I was arrested. I faced consequences. I did the work to become better. And now I use that experience to prevent other mothers from reaching that same breaking point. Some people think my past disqualifies me. I think it's exactly what qualifies me. I understand the desperation. I know what it feels like to see no other option. And I can tell mothers, there is another way. I'm living proof. The support far outweighed the criticism. Hundreds of mothers who'd been helped by Esperanza House spoke up, sharing their stories, defending Maya. She saved my life and my daughter's life, one mother wrote. Who cares what she did 7 years ago? Look at what she's doing now. When Esperanza was 8, Maya received a letter. It was from her own mother, whom she hadn't spoken to in over 10 years. Maya, I saw you on TV talking about Esperanza House. I had no idea about any of this. About your pregnancy, about what happened in the desert, about what you've built. I'm sorry. I'm sorry we kicked you out. Sorry we weren't there when you needed us. Sorry you had to go through all of that alone. I understand if you don't want contact. But I needed you to know, I'm proud of you. Of what you've overcome. Of what you've created. And I'd like to meet my granddaughter someday, if you'd allow it. Mom. Maya showed the letter to Patricia. I don't know how I feel about this. What do you want to feel? I'm angry. They abandoned me. Turned their backs when I needed them. And now, years later, when I'm successful, they want back in. Valid. But also consider, they're human. They made mistakes. Just like you did. And they're trying to make amends. Just like you did. Are you saying I should forgive them? I'm saying you get to decide. But remember that Esperanza has grandparents she's never met. That's her loss too. Maya thought about it for weeks. Finally, she wrote back. Mom, I'm not ready for a full relationship. But I'm willing to meet. To talk. To see if there's a way forward. For Esperanza's sake, if nothing else. But understand, I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago. I've built a life without you. If you want to be part of it now, you have to respect that life and the journey it took to get here. Maya. The meeting happened at a neutral location, a cafe in Riverside. Maya's parents came. They looked older, tired. Her mother cried when she saw her. You look good, her father said. Healthy. Strong. I am. We saw your interview on 60 Minutes. About Esperanza House. We had no idea you were doing such important work. You would have known if you'd been in my life. We know. We made mistakes. We were too harsh, too rigid. We thought we were doing the right thing, but we were wrong. Maya's mother spoke up. Can we meet her? Esperanza. Your daughter. Eventually. If this goes well. But I need to protect her. She doesn't need people who might disappear from her life. We won't disappear. We want to be part of your lives. If you'll let us. It was awkward, painful, full of unspoken history and hurt. But it was a start. Over the next year, Maya cautiously allowed her parents back into her life. They attended Esperanza's 9th birthday. They visited Esperanza House and saw what their daughter had built. They apologized repeatedly. I wish we'd been there, her mother said one day. When you were pregnant and scared. When you almost made that terrible mistake. Maybe we could have prevented all of it. Maybe, Maya said. But then I wouldn't have learned what I learned. Wouldn't have built what I built. I don't excuse what I did. But I also don't regret where it led. You're stronger than I ever was. I had to be. I had no choice. 10 years after the desert incident, Maya stood on a stage before 2,000 people at a national conference on child welfare. Esperanza, now 10, sat in the front row with Patricia. Maya's parents were there too, proud and supportive. 10 years ago, Maya began, I tried to abandon my newborn daughter in a tent in the Mojave Desert. I drove away. I left her to die. I was arrested. I deserved to be. But I was given a second chance. An incredible woman named Dr. Patricia Moore found us, saved us, and then dedicated herself to helping me become the mother I needed to be. A judge believed in redemption. A social worker fought for me. And I did the work. Today, I run Esperanza House, a network of 12 crisis intervention centers across the United States. We've served over 1,000 families. We've prevented countless abandonments. We've shown desperate mothers that there's another way. I'm not proud of what I did 10 years ago, but I'm proud of what I built from it. And I'm proof that our worst moments don't define us, our response to those moments defines us. Every mother we help is proof that redemption is possible, that transformation is real, that love, even when it starts in the worst possible way, can become the foundation for something beautiful. The audience stood and applauded for 5 minutes. After her speech, a young woman approached Maya nervously. "Ms. Reyes? I'm 5 months pregnant. I've been thinking about leaving the baby somewhere after birth. I don't think I can be a mother. But hearing your story, maybe there's another option." Maya took her hands. "There is. Come with me. Let me help you." And once again, Maya did what she did best, reached out to a desperate mother and offered hope. 15 years after the desert incident, Maya stood at the edge of the Mojave Desert, near the exact spot where her car had gotten stuck that fateful day. Esperanza, now 15, stood beside her. Patricia, 82 and moving slowly but still sharp, was there too. So were Maya's parents, who'd been back in her life for 7 years now. They'd come to dedicate a memorial marker on the site, not to celebrate what had happened, but to acknowledge where the journey had begun. The marker read, "From this place of desperation came hope. From the worst decision came the best outcome. May all who pass here remember, our lowest moments can become our greatest purposes." In memory of all mothers in crisis, and in honor of the second chances that save us. Esperanza read the inscription and turned to her mother. "Tell me the whole story now. I'm ready." Maya had been waiting for this moment. Esperanza was old enough now to understand the complexity, the darkness, the redemption. They sat on rocks in the shade, and Maya told her everything. The hidden pregnancy, the birth alone, the desperate drive to the desert, the tent, the terrible moment of walking away, the car getting stuck, the baby getting sick, Dr. Moore appearing, the arrest, the long climb back. Esperanza listened quietly, tears in her eyes. When Maya finished, her daughter was silent for a long moment. "Are you angry at me?" Maya asked. "For almost leaving you?" "No," Esperanza said finally. "I'm sad it happened. But I understand why. You were young and scared and alone. And you made a mistake. But then you spent 15 years making up for it." "More than making up for it," Patricia added. "Your mother turned her worst moment into a movement that saved over 2,500 families." Esperanza hugged Maya. "I'm proud of you, Mom. Not despite what happened, but because of how you responded to it." Maya cried, holding her daughter. The little girl who'd almost died in this desert was now a confident, compassionate teenager who understood that people could be flawed and redeemed at the same time. Esperanza House had grown into a national organization. 23 locations across 16 states. An annual budget of $8 million. Partnerships with hospitals, social services, and advocacy groups nationwide. The model had been studied by researchers and replicated internationally. Countries in Europe and Latin America were establishing similar programs based on Maya's work. But Maya remained grounded in the hands-on work. She still personally welcomed mothers to the California locations. Still shared her story with anyone who needed to hear it. Still remembered what it felt like to be desperate and alone. You could step back, Patricia told her. Let others run the day-to-day operations. You've proven yourself 1,000 times over. I know. But I never want to forget. The moment I'm too far from the work, I lose the authenticity that makes this effective. Maya had completed her master's degree in social work and had been offered teaching positions at several universities. She occasionally lectured, but her primary focus remained Esperanza House. Esperanza, inspired by her mother's work and her own story, had decided she wanted to become a therapist specializing in maternal mental health. I want to help mothers before they reach the breaking point, Esperanza explained. Prevent them from ever getting to where you were. That's beautiful, Maya said. You're taking this to the next level. Because you showed me what's possible. You made a terrible mistake and then spent my entire life making the world better. That's legacy, Mom. One day, Maya received a letter from a woman named Jennifer in Arizona. Dear Maya, 6 years ago, I came to Esperanza House in Phoenix, pregnant and planning to abandon my baby after birth. Your staff welcomed me. You personally flew out to meet with me. You told me your story and showed me there was another way. I kept my son. His name is Michael. He's 5 now and thriving. I'm a nurse. I'm stable. I'm happy. And it's because of Esperanza House. But I'm writing because yesterday I helped deliver a baby at the hospital where I work. The mother was 17, alone, and terrified. She told me she was going to leave the baby at a fire station. I told her about Esperanza House. About you. About my own story. She's coming to our Phoenix location tomorrow. This is how it spreads. You saved me. I saved her. She'll probably save someone else someday. That's the real legacy. Thank you for not giving up that day in the desert. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for creating something that saves families every single day. Jennifer. Maya showed the letter to Patricia. This is why we do it. This ripple effect. Your worst day became thousands of people's best hope. That's transformation. 20 years after the desert incident, Maya was 42 and Esperanza House had served over 5,000 families. Maya's parents had become active volunteers, working with young mothers and trying to make up for the support they hadn't given their own daughter. We can't change the past, Maya's mother said at a volunteer training. But we can change the present for someone else's daughter. That's what we're trying to do. Patricia, now 87, was slowing down but remained Maya's closest advisor and Esperanza's beloved Grandma Patricia. You know what amazes me? Patricia said one evening as they sat on the ranch porch. 20 years ago, I was just taking photographs in the desert. If I'd gone a different direction that day, if I'd stayed home, you and Esperanza wouldn't be here. Esperanza House wouldn't exist. Thousands of families would have had different, probably worse, outcomes. Fate? Maya asked. Maybe. Or maybe just the interconnectedness of choices. Your car got stuck. I went exploring. Those 2 moments collided and changed everything. I think about that a lot. If any single thing had been different, if your path hadn't crossed mine, if the baby hadn't gotten sick, if I'd successfully driven away, everything would be different. But you can't think that way. It happened how it happened. And look at what you built from it. Esperanza, now 20, was studying psychology at UCLA and planned to return to work with Esperanza House after graduation. She'd already started a peer support program for children of mothers who'd been in crisis, helping them process their own complex feelings about their families' histories. I want to close the loop, Esperanza explained. Mom helps the mothers. I want to help the kids who grow up knowing their stories started in crisis. Help them understand they're not defined by how they began. Just like you're not, Maya said. Exactly. We both started in the worst possible way. But we became something beautiful. Every child of a mother in crisis deserves to know that's possible. 25 years after the desert incident, Maya stood before an audience of 3,000 people at a national conference on child welfare. She was 47. Esperanza House had served over 8,000 families across 30 locations in 22 states. 25 years ago, Maya told the audience, I tried to abandon my newborn daughter in the Mojave Desert. I was arrested. I deserved to be. But I was given a second chance by people who believed that redemption was possible, that our worst moments could become our greatest lessons. Today, Esperanza, the baby I almost left to die, is 25 years old. She's a licensed therapist working with families in crisis. She took our story and turned it into purpose. And Esperanza House has helped 8,000 families avoid the desperate decisions I almost made. We've shown that with support, love, and resources, mothers don't have to choose between impossible options. I will never be proud of what I did in that desert. But I'm proud of what I built from it. And I'm proof that transformation is real, that redemption is possible, and that our worst days don't have to define us. Esperanza joined her mother on stage. My mother almost abandoned me. And then she spent my entire life making sure no other child would be abandoned. That's not just redemption, that's revolution. The audience stood and applauded for 10 minutes. After the conference, Maya and Esperanza drove back to the Mojave Desert, to the memorial marker they'd placed years ago. They sat together in the cooling evening air, looking at the place where everything had changed. Do you ever wonder what would have happened if the car hadn't gotten stuck? Esperanza asked. Every day, Maya admitted. If I'd driven away successfully, you'd probably be dead. Or raised by someone else. I'd probably be in prison or dead myself from guilt. Esperanza House wouldn't exist. Thousands of families would have different stories. So the car getting stuck saved more than just us. Yes, it saved all of us. Me, you, and every family we've helped since. They sat in silence, watching the sun set over the desert. I'm grateful, Esperanza said quietly. For what? For all of it. The struggle, the redemption, the work. For you refusing to give up. For becoming the mother you became. For building something that helps so many people. Even though it started with me trying to abandon you. Especially because of that. Because you took the worst possible beginning and turned it into the best possible outcome. That's love, Mom. Real, complicated, imperfect love. Maya hugged her daughter. I love you so much. I'm sorry for how we started. But I'm grateful for where we ended up. We haven't ended up yet. We're still going. True. So where do we go from here? Esperanza smiled. We keep building. We keep helping. We keep proving that second chances matter and that love can transform anything. They drove away from the desert as the stars began to appear. Behind them, the memorial marker stood as a testament to what had happened there and what had grown from it. A mother had almost abandoned her baby in desperation. That baby had survived. That mother had transformed. And together, they built something that gave hope to thousands. The desert that had almost claimed their lives had instead witnessed the beginning of their legacy. The end. For every mother who found strength in her darkest hour. For every child who survived a difficult beginning. For every person who proved that redemption is real and transformation is possible. Your story matters. Your second chance changes the world.